Good morning, April 10th, 2023. And if you chop off the 0 at the end on the 10, then you can say this is again April 1st. Oh, we don't want another one of those. No, thank you very much. It's a Monday morning. Go check audio here. Now that I've got a live Monday morning. Yep, there's audio. And here's chat room. Chris Garrett first at 8:21. It's 9 o'clock here now. Chris Garrett says, I will not be here today, going to get my car lowered. I think his car is up on one of those racks in the repair shop. So they're going to go lower it to the ground. No, I know that's not what he meant. He's going to have a lowrider. Really? Is that April Fool's, Chris Garrett? Josh Kinder says, hi, everyone. Nick Poverman. I've started investing in stocks, beef, chicken, and vegetable. One day I hope to be a billionaire. My friend, and then goes on, my friend just fell into a machine that turns people into water vapor. He will be missed. Very good. Thank you, Nick, for those two funnies to start us off. Selden Ball has 54 degrees. Ken Stout says, ear, not car. Oh, he's going to get his ears low. Oh, his ear lowered. I read that wrong. Well, Ken does typos. I do reados. My reados means I read it wrong. Ken will do typos where he types it wrong. Wintermute said ear, not car. Still no clue. I had no clue. Did not realize. That's my speed reading. Speed reading is just a glance and boom, I think I've got it. But I'm wrong. 88 degrees Fahrenheit, mostly sunny in Panama. Haircut. That makes a lot more sense. I just didn't see Chris Garrett as the type that would be driving a lowered car. A lowered car. Chokes me up when I say that. Wow. All right, Doug, what do you got for the show today? Well, Doug, let's start with channel comments, shall we? Here we go. Tom K. Let's see, is this zoomed in? This doesn't look zoomed in. So the YouTube pages are zoomed in to 150 because I zoomed in for chat, but that doesn't affect this page. That's interesting. Tom K says, hi, Doug. Yes, it's Tucson, Arizona, pronounced Tucson. So I'm wondering if he really means Tucson. I would pronounce the word S-O-N as sun, as in S-U-N. But when you're referring to your son, it would be son, not son. I always I think of it as Tucson, Arizona. Splitting hairs there, Doug. Go get your hair cut. Matthew Barnes, whenever I hear the words QuickBooks, the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I think it's a survival reaction. I can't actually read all that, can I? Oh, it gives a smiley face out there. I have a lot of background with QuickBooks. And yeah, it can be hairy. Peter Dobson, regarding the April Fool's Day show where we were working with, I think we were showing Tim Sowell's results. It says, my commiseration, this is a tough one to crack. The only thing I could think of, oh no, this was the 1 week anniversary. So this was Josh Kinder's. Yeah. The only thing I could think of, and it may well not work either, is to get an external enclosure for the SSD, connect it to another working computer, try to access it that way. Yeah, many of us think that's the way to go, but Josh doesn't have that available. If successful at that point, I would try a number of different avenues of approach. If those didn't work, I'd have no other option but to nuke and pave. We can't do that. We can't delete the partitions. We can't nuke and pave. And then attempt to restore from image backup. I would do that. This is all dependent on the ability to see the drive using the enclosure. Again, this might not work, but at present, I can't see any other approach that has a realistic chance. Maybe someone else will have an epiphany on a solution. But it seems hard to believe at this point. It's possible that something went wrong with the drive's electronics, but that is mere speculation on my part. I might also try to reseat the SSD just for laughs. That has also been suggested, and it's going to be further discussed during today's session of Windows Daily. It seems to me this calls for an on-site call. You can do a lot remotely, but not everything. At any rate, good luck. Yeah, we would not have spent nearly this amount of time if either any of the technicians in the channel were on site with their resources available, or if any of us had possession of the computer. Trying to do that remotely, all we could do is try doing some things that might remotely be the problem, but they were unlikely. The best way to go about this is have it in a lab, take the drive out, pop it into something else, try to either repair the partitions or delete the partitions. But since there is a backup, a recent backup, I think connecting it to an external enclosure on another computer, or even installing it in a second NVMe port on the motherboard of another computer, and then see if you can delete the partitions. And maybe use a third-party partition software to delete the partitions. Sometimes they can delete partitions when Windows, even disk part, is unable to. Then ran Israel regarding that same show. So out of curiosity, I went and watched the beginning of Ken's Friday night live stream. From what I could tell, when they first managed to get into the BIOS, the boot settings were already set to UEFI legacy mode, which means CSM was already enabled, the compatibility service module. If the computer was running Windows 11 properly before all broke loose, CSM should have been disabled and secure boot enabled. Well, I know Windows 11, to be able to install it in a supported environment, you have to have secure TPM and secure boot capability. I don't know that you have to have it enabled. So maybe this is that it seems here that RAN is of the opinion that you have to have secure boot enabled in order to run Windows 11. I don't think that's the case, because you can actually install it on computers that don't have TPM. So if that being the case, if you're installing it on a computer that has TPM and secure boot, I'm pretty sure you can disable those features and have CSM enabled. So unless Josh already tried to fiddle with BIOS settings before the stream, which is possible, I don't know, I don't think he's told us that, I'm starting to think that perhaps the fault is not with the drive, but with the motherboard itself. That certainly is another possibility. It could be a motherboard issue. Seems unlikely to me, but could be. Windows 10, and then on the video, Windows 10 Home has drive encryption turned on by default. Kate in Poland is saying, so what you're saying, Doug, is that Microsoft has included BitLocker on Windows 10 Home Edition, yet they haven't made it easily accessible for their users. I think it's easily accessible, but it's not called BitLocker. It's called drive encryption. It is based on BitLocker, and I think the BitLocker program is underlying that, but I will give the disclaimer, I haven't studied that in depth. So let's go back and give thumbs up and hearts to all of these. Then go see what else is happening in chat. Then I have some emails to talk about. That should clear all the comments off. Yep. Here's my highlight from my last chat message I read. Brian Lightfoot, I don't need no stinking haircut. I have cut my hair myself since junior high school. But I have, on occasion, used professionals for a while. But it's just quicker and easier. Laughs, hit the like button from Mike Wojcik, Speedy C, hi Doug and chat, Daniel Amberley. At this point, I would be inclined to order a new SSD and do a fresh Windows install. Well, what they did, Danielle, is they ordered the new computer. Josh's capability for installing a new SSD is somewhat limited due to his disabilities. So, and his Aunt Mary just apparently made the decision and selected the computer. It's supposed to arrive on Wednesday. Afternoon, Doug and all in chat from Alan Spain. BitLocker is available only on Windows 10 Pro or higher. Windows 10 Pro, but I found it on Windows 11 Home. And BitLocker is drive encryption is not available Windows 10 Home to my awareness, but it is Windows 11 Home available. Ran Israel, you haven't read my comment to the end. Let's go see. Ran Israel. Let's see, what did I do? Did I spell it wrong? You haven't read my comment to the end. There's only 2 comments from Ran. Oh, it must have been on the chat room comments. That would have been from the April 1st anniversary show. So to get back to that, I have to go over here and then go to comments and then remove this I haven't responded thing. Broker CSM should have been to say, so unless Josh already told it, fiddle biddle. Okay, did I miss this paragraph? The other thing on my mind is even with CSM enabled, Windows 11 setup did not give out any error message regarding the lack of secure boot or TPM. This should have happened before the drive selection page. I've never seen that. I've never seen that as a warning, but I haven't tried. I haven't tried installing Windows 11 on a computer that has the capability of secure boot, but it's disabled. So I'm wondering if this is a genuine Windows 11 installation media or a patched one. We're pretty confident it's a Windows 11 installation media because he knows how to download it from Microsoft's website. Can you give any supporting evidence that a Windows 11 install will give a error message if you have secure boot turned off? Are you just deducing that, or do you have evidence of that? I haven't investigated, so I don't know. But I've never heard of that warning. Of course, if you try to upgrade a computer that doesn't have TPM or doesn't have TPM, you'll have to jump through some hoops to do the install. Okay, then let's punch over here so I can bring up. Am I caught up? Yeah, I am caught up in chat. So then I'll go to the emails. Let's see, is this all okay? Yeah. So here's my folder of the emails that I flagged for today. Brian and I had a few emails back and forth. I'm not going to read through that all, but I'm going to try to cover the content because it was interesting. Josh says, thank you for taking your Saturday show to help me on the Windows 10. I was able to, oh yeah, here, let's go look at this, because he says, he did make a Windows 10 install media. He was able to see the drive in the list of partitions, but he was unable to delete the partitions, just the same way that we saw with Windows 11. And here is the message that he get. We couldn't delete the selected partition. So this is when he was using Windows 10 installation media. Going back, Josh's other inquiry here. Let's see if this is okay. Yeah. He says, me and my aunt would really appreciate if you can help us set it up on Saturday. That's the new computer. In his description up here says, my aunt's new computer is coming today, but not today. Today's Monday. Yeah, I thought it was coming on Wednesday. I don't want to use a Microsoft account. Me and her don't want to have an account, but without the internet, can you please put your software on your computer, please? Thank you for everything. Really appreciate your friend Josh and Aunt Mary. So yeah, I'm fine with doing that on Saturday, Josh. So this email was sent today. So I guess maybe they're actually expecting it today. Somewhere else I heard that they were expecting it on Wednesday. Now for Brian's comments, had to do with the when Josh was running, he would open a command prompt, and then I'd have him launch that disk part. And I had him type exit, and people were saying, no, you can just click the X in the upper right corner. I said, no, you can't. And there's two different situations depending upon how you've opened command prompt. Josh had opened it. He had booted the computer on a USB thumb drive. So he already had administrator capabilities in the command prompt. So when he was going to disk part, it was in the same command prompt window. And so we had to type exit to get out of disk part. You couldn't do the X. And what Brian commonly experiences is he has, let's see if I can get to the right place here. He has a command prompt pinned to his Windows 11 taskbar. And he's also had it pinned to his start menu there. You see it. And he apparently had, when he was doing disk part, was always running it just by launching those command prompts. And that's not administrator mode. So when you launch disk part under those circumstances, Windows, because you're in a Windows environment, Windows Desktop is already launched, it will automatically launch disk part in a separate window after prompting you for the user account control to allow administrator level in that command prompt. But if you right click, as he's showing here in this photo, if you right click on the command prompt and choose run as administrator, then you are in an administrator command prompt. If you launch disk part from there, it'll be in the same window, and you will have to type the word exit to get out of disk part if you want to stay in the command prompt window. Brian also points out that, let's see, where it is in the picture here, is the one that he has pinned to the taskbar. He doesn't get an option when he right clicks on that to launch as administrator, and he goes on to further explain that, which this is something that I'm aware of. Look at all these icons down here. Every one of them, when I right click on the, well, that one does give me administrator. Well, famous last words, but most of these items pinned to the taskbar when you right click don't give you a run as administrator, but if you right click on the item itself, you do have a run as administrator. Now, if I do Windows key, CMD, and then pin to taskbar to put that on my taskbar, what Brian points out, as apparently he didn't already know this, but I did because I've been through this with clients, is you can right click on the command prompt and run as administrator here. But one thing even further is on Microsoft products like Microsoft Word, right click over here, and then here's Microsoft Word. So if I right click here, well, I have run as administrator. I right click here, there is run as administrator. However, this is just a shortcut. If I go to properties here, notice up here, this icon is a shortcut arrow, and we're still not actually at the program. We can go open file location and then actually change properties of the actual program icon here. Now, there's something about that explanation that when I use it, that distinction is important, but for most people, it's not important. Now, where am I? I think I've covered all of the stuff that Brian and I were chit-chatting back and forth about. So let's go back here. I haven't seen any show. I checked before starting the show. I didn't see anything from Ken Stout. So Ken, do you have a show? Is he in the chat room today? Yes, he is. Do you have a show, Ken? Let me know in chat. Ran Israel, Kim, KJ3N has a video how to prepare a patch media exactly because of this. I haven't done any videos about patch media because I'm just not interested in the subject. I'm not doing that for my clients, and there's plenty of other people that have shown how to do patched installation media. And if you're in an environment where you're doing that, it means you intend to be installing Windows 11 on computers that are not capable, not approved, and you need that patch media. But I don't know that maybe people can answer this in the chat room. If you're dealing with a computer that is Windows 11 capable, has TPM, has secure boot capability, but you have secure boot turned off, maybe, well, TPM on, but secure boot turned off, can you install Windows 11 without any warning messages? That would be of interest because Josh was not getting any such warning messages. Greg M., if you use Rufus to create the USB for Windows 11, there's an option for remove requirement for 4 gigabytes RAM, secure boot, and TPM. Okay. That sounds like it is a requirement, but is it a requirement to have TPM 2.0? Yes, understood. But is it a requirement that secure boot be enabled? Or does the capability just have to be present? And yeah, all right. No more comment there. John Williams. I've been offered Windows 11 on one of my computers that has secure boot turned off since I installed the NVMe drive. Is that implying that before you installed an NVMe drive, you were not offered Windows 11? I don't think that, well, NVMe drives are not required. Ran Israel has a video here. He's giving me a link for, oh, this is Jim's Media. Better method to create USB stick to install Windows 11 on unsupported hardware. Well, thank you for putting that into chat for other people. I know the capabilities out there. I have no interest in learning it because I won't be using that for any of my clients. My clients, no, we're not going to install Windows 11 on unsupported hardware. If they really push me to do it, I will. I'll put a disclaimer in my invoice that complications may arise later. Jim, my video was before Rufus had that option. Okay, so his video doesn't show that option. Zavi Manor. Now with Windows 10 installation, he could clean the disk with DiskPart. By the way, you can run DiskPart during installation by Shift F10. Yeah, but it's not working. It doesn't work. We demonstrated that on Saturday, and then Josh did it with Windows 10 later. So he has the Windows 10 installation. He cannot clean the disk. Well, not during the Windows 10 installation. I don't know that he's launched DiskPart from the Windows 10 installation and tried to clean the disk. So that's a possibility. Martin Hogg, how many Dougs are there? We cannot keep count. That fluctuates from day to day. There's a different number of Dougs around here. They don't all show up for work every day. So I haven't been able to count them. And problem with counting them is I can't tell them apart. They all look alike to me. They should wear name tags. Ken Stout live. Question, if Josh was using, if you're new around here and you don't know what that was about, give it time. You'll come up to speed. Ken Stout says, question, if Josh was using Windows 10 versus Windows 11 on the USB, how much, if any, of an effect would that have had? The reason why Windows 10 might have made a difference to deleting those partitions is because Windows 10 is not so, maybe not so aware of the content of a Windows 11 partition. Let's see, Kerry had something on Saturday, the computer he was working at it failed to install Windows 11. Then he was able to install Windows 10 on it. When I first realized he was having some kind of issue there, I watched it a little bit more and realized, no, it wasn't at all similar, because I think the conclusion there was maybe his memory wasn't Windows 11 supported. That was kind of a long shot to see if the Windows 10 installation media would be able to delete those partitions. That's all it was. Ran to Jim, true, but the media that Rufus can create is also a patched version. Ken Stout says, no show today. And Ken says, it has been suggested that maybe he did have Windows 10. Well, Josh, maybe yes, all right. It was suggested that the USB thumb drive that he was booting from on Saturday might have actually been a Windows 10 installation media. Excuse me. I don't think it self-identified itself as Windows 11 installation media. So that would explain why we didn't get any warning about secure boot, if indeed that is a warning that comes up when you're trying to install Windows 11 on a machine that has secure boot capability, but it is disabled. I would never come across a situation for trying that, because I don't build computers here. So for my clients, I would never come across that. The only way that would happen around here, if the door's closed, he won't hear me. The only way that would happen is if Curious Doug got his hands on that idea and went and tried it. I don't think he's going to watch this show, so we're probably safe from that. Now, here's 923 is the last chat message I see there, and I've been glancing to see, is there anything else more? Oops, no, there isn't. I look at those other screens. That's the last one, because sometimes I have to scroll up and get this blue button before I see who else. Another chat message. Martin Hogg says, Carrie's fun installation of Windows 10 failed again after Windows updates were installed. Oh, I didn't watch the whole show. Interesting. That Windows 10 install, after he did all the updates, it failed again. Wow. Dennis, that error that Josh showed from his Windows 10 install attempt points to a corrupted partition. Check this, probably could have fixed that, but I'll not talk about that again in this case. Oh, thank you for mentioning that, Dennis. When Dennis suggested that on Saturday, I knew that I had an inside Doug. My inner Doug was screaming, no, don't do check disk. And it wasn't really on my mind why. So I wanted to explain that, because Dennis asked that 2 or 3 times for us to do check disk. I have a fair amount of experience with check disk in the past. Now, check disk, when nothing is wrong, doesn't take very long. But when there are problems, I have had check disk run multiple days on a single computer and successfully give me access to the files that I'm trying to retrieve for somebody that didn't have a backup. So, but check disk can take a very long time if things aren't right. We knew things weren't right because the disk part and Windows installation could not deal with those partitions on the entire partition level. We know that was a messed up partition. No, my inner Doug was just screaming, no, that would have been the end of the show. Because getting into check disk and then taking a long time. And then how are we going to break out of that? Sometimes Control-C, Control-Break won't get you out quickly or won't get you out at all. So what you wind up doing is holding down the power button to shut the computer off, which was what got us in the problem in the first place. No, check disk is for fixing problems with files. This partition had a problem, had a major problem. Now I'm thinking that possibly opening the computer up, reseating the NVMe drive might give us something. However, if all of this trouble so far was giving us partial access to it, I think further damage has probably been caused to the partition by virtue of that. My best course of action is take that NVMe drive out, put it in an external enclosure, connect it to another computer. And if this part won't clean it, then use a third-party partition manager software, because oftentimes they are able to clean something that this part cannot. Windows itself, this part under Windows has trouble with dealing with unrecognized partitions. This partition so far still seems to be recognized, but because the installation and this part can't deal with it, I think it is so damaged that there's probably no hope for it. Now, Steve Gibson's, when he comes out with his next version of SpinRite, I don't want to get into his beta tester program. When he comes out with the public version of that, it is expected to be able to recover seriously damaged NVMe drives and other SSDs. So I'd be interested in trying that. Putting in a new NVMe drive, install Windows, then do a restore, or just go straight to a restore from that backup. That's the way that I would do it here. I would not put in, for a client, I would not put any effort into trying to recover that NVMe drive. It's not worth the cost of my time. So I just put in a new NVMe drive, restore the backup. It's just a few days old. Easy peasy. And many of the people in the community have offered to do something along those lines. Ken says, email sent to Curious Doug. Are you threatening Ken? I'm looking at his email right now. I'm looking at Curious Doug's email to see if you've been trying to alert him to that idea. I think you're just messing with me because I don't see that in his email. Ken Stout says email sent to Curious Doug to try to get him to experiment with that. Greg M says, I was screaming inwardly regarding check disk. John Williams, the computer I mentioned, never had secure boot enabled on the SSD or NVMe drive, but still get Windows 11 offered from Microsoft. Yeah, for it to be offered, all we know is the requirements included having TPM at least 1.2, or do you have to have 2.0? See, I have no need to remember all those details. I don't recollect that it ever said that you had to have Secure Boot enabled to upgrade to Windows 11. Kerry's show concluded with him saying he would investigate offline, report back on the future show. Thank you, Martin. Obviously, if there's critical, how is it that I feel comforted when Kerry wasn't able to resolve it during that show? Now, I know you've had that circumstance before, and I occasionally have that circumstance when I can't resolve it during the show. Of course, we'd always prefer to be able to resolve it during the show and quickly. And both Kerry and I kind of get a little kick out of it when we have the solution and nobody else in chat came up with it. But that's pretty rare around here with all of you smart people. Dennis, obviously, if there's critical files on there, don't do check disk, but we had a backup, no harm to drive. Well, the harm that I was seeing there is that it was going to end the show because it certainly would have taken a long time. Now, if by chance Curious Doug were to get his hands on that, he might try that. The door's still closed. I've had check disk make a drive worse. Yeah, been there, done that. I typically check disk, if I have a fully functional drive and there's just maybe some slight problem, that's more likely when I would do check disk. Greg DeMartin, was that yesterday's stream? I did not watch. That would have, oh, yeah, Kerry did a show on Saturday and Sunday. I think that was Sunday. Windows 11 requires TPM 2.0. Thank you. Ask me that next week. See if I remember it next week. I'm not going to place a bet. Rex say Secure Boot capable. There we go. Capable, not enabled. System requirements. Firmware, TPM. I don't know if it actually uses the word Secure Boot in there, does it? Oh, yeah, UEFI Secure Boot capable. That is a requirement. So if you have 2.0, it certainly is capable. I don't think it's possible to have TPM 2.0 and not have Secure Boot capable, is it? I don't really care. Wintermute to Greg. Kerry's stream yesterday was on a capture card. Hello, Bobby. Oh, you're right. 9:33, so we're a little bit over time. No other questions in chat. No, I responded to emails. I responded to comments. I don't think I have any chat room stuff from Saturday saved to respond to. So there's my email address if you'd like to send a question for me to respond to on the Windows Daily Show or a suggestion for the Saturday topic. And still looking at chat here. Martin Hogg, that motherboard had no CMOS battery, so Kerry fitted one, but I'm not sure if date time set. Had no CMOS battery. Wow. Where did that motherboard come from? You'll have a little bit of time to respond in chat after I end the show. You can put a question on a comment on any of my videos or ask in the chat room. So have a great day, everybody. Catch you. Oh, by the way, sorry. I meant to say this earlier. My heart goes out to Alex Cheek and his family for the loss of his grandfather recently. So you still have a little time to put condolences to Alex in chat room if you'd like to do that. All right, there you go. Have a great day, everybody. Catch you later. Goodbye.